Hello, my beautiful beings. My name is Becca, and today I want to talk about genetic modification and gene regulation. So, in our last video, we talked about the massive capabilities of the original genetic blueprint of 12-strand DNA for the human body, which has now been reduced to 2 through a lot of gene regulation and among other things. But today I want to talk a little bit about that genetic modification specifically. So, what is gene regulation? Gene regulation is essentially turning genes on and off, which basically suppresses or brings out traits within the human being, okay? Now, I'm going to keep saying it because it's really important, but gene regulation can be controlled by electromagnetic frequencies. Remember, I said our biology and our electromagnetism is extremely intertwined? It is. But it can also be regulated through other cells that activate proteins called transcription factors. Now, transcription factors bind to specific DNA sequences and they control the transcription rate of genetic information from DNA to RNA, and RNA is the messenger. Okay, so these proteins increase or decrease the level of transcription factors. So basically what that does is it determines the amount of protein produced and the level of function. So gene regulation can occur at any time during gene expression, but it most often occurs when the messages are being transferred from DNA to RNA. So GMO foods and toxic chemicals added at very small doses called preservatives to commercially produced foods is a way that our genes are regulated, meaning turned on or off. So soybeans, corn, cottonseed, and canola have had foreign genes forced into their DNA from species such as bacteria and viruses that have never been in the food supply before. So these are brand new bacteria and viruses being introduced into our food supply through the utilization of gene regulation. That's corn, soybeans, cottonseed, and canola. Again. So these are actually also transferred to the soil and through the bacteria and then eventually into the human body. Okay? So many of these bacteria and viruses interfere with our gene expression, as well as interfering with our protein transcription factors. So that is how they're introducing these genetically modified portions of DNA into our DNA. Natural genes, like I stated before, can be deleted or permanently turned on or off. And this can even change behavior and traits. Even the inserted gene that's been inserted can be damaged or even rearranged. So that creates messed up proteins that trigger allergies or diseases. So the human race has gotten pretty sick since we started using genetically modified foods back in the, 80s probably? So basically, inserting a gene into a plant or animal genome using biotechnology creates damaged proteins that become part of your body when you consume them. They leave residue and metabolic waste in the body, and that's hard for your body to digest and eliminate because they're synthetic and they're not supposed to be in our bodies anyways. So GMO foods are actually engineered to be extremely resistant to these harsh toxic chemical weed killers, right? And they just dump a buttload of them on there, and these plants can withstand all that because they've been genetically modified that way. So the weeds become more and more resistant. They become super weeds. more chemicals are needed, weeds get stronger, keep pouring more chemicals. And these chemical pesticides are neurotoxins. It means they affect our brain. And they're linked to a variety of diseases and birth defects. So here's something I'm going to tell you. Genes of genetically modified foods can be transferred into the DNA of the bacteria in our intestines. And they continue to function inside of our intestines. So it goes from the genetically modified food into the bacteria of our gut, our intestine, and basically it's part of us, altered our DNA at that point. So the toxic insecticide produced by GMO corn actually gets directly into the bloodstream and therefore into every single organ of the human body. So once most of the health and environmental risks of GMOs are completely ignored by the elites that are supposed to take care of us, like the FDA. Okay, what a joke. There's no GMO regulation. There are no long-term studies on these showing the effects on the body. There's literally no safety studies or mandated labeling. Like, they can just do whatever they want. And there's no monitoring of GMO-related illness, so how would we even know? So it's like a complete and total blind spot. Okay, there are studies out there, but they're not accepted by mainstream science. So they're literally suppressed. They're poisoning our food supply and getting away with it completely. Most of the reason behind this is even worse, because once you successfully alter the DNA of a food, they are now considered intellectual property and they can be owned by corporations. So they're going to sell it to you like they need to feed the world. That the commercial purpose of GMOs is to make sure that there's enough food on the planet for everybody, but there's not enough food on the planet for everybody anyways. It doesn't improve farming. It's harder for the farmers if they really knew that. But this is what I'm going to tell you is an inverted system. And that is what is happening on the planet. You'll see inverted systems all over the place. What they sell it to you for is not what it's actually doing to you or for you. Okay? They hide behind these facts because what they're actually doing is they're altering your genes to prevent you from ascending, and then you're basically being forced to pay for them too. Okay? And they're poisoning everything and making money off of doing it. So all they really want is control over the seeds and plant breeding to steer our food supply in the direction that best suits them to keep us docile and controlled. So this is occurring at the expense of farmers. Okay, so they're selling it to farmers as if you're going to have higher yields, better, more bushels per acre, or whatever it is. These farmers are still expected to make a profit somehow, while the earth and soil are being poisoned and their crops are being genetically polluted. And they don't even study the science to really understand what's happening. So when you take a look at that, it's completely obvious to me that humans are living totally out of balance with nature in this manner. The plant kingdom is displaying some very obvious signs like rapid decay, disease, pest infestation. There's almost nothing being done to address the massive toxic waste and chemical soil pollution. We just keep splicing genes together to create entirely different organisms with different traits instead of going back to living in harmony with nature, planting certain plants near each other to keep the pests away. Native Americans knew this, you know? Anyways, animals will choose not to eat GMO foods if given the option. They innately sense it. They know that they're not going to eat genetically modified foods at all. They will avoid them completely. So that's essentially the second half of my genetic engineering video. So I laid the groundwork in the previous video for our DNA blueprint and how that works. And this is how they get the genes into your body to alter your chemical DNA. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. I'm more than happy to address that. The next video that you have to look forward to is Mind Wars. I call them mind control. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Share it with your friends if you feel like it would help them. I'm going to go into a little bit deeper starting next video. Thank you so much for being here, my beautiful beings. I'm Becca. You can find me on Facebook at Be About It or on Instagram at Becca About It Akashic Readings. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Don't just talk about it, be about it.